Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Ash, and I'm here with a review for another Crusade on Xbox. Now, this was released on the 15th of September 2023, developed by Dragon Vein Studios and published by Limited Run Games, who were kind enough to send me a copy for this review, so big thank you to them for that. Now, this game is a old school sort of RPG, JRPG-esque style game featuring turn-based combat, and it's set in a 3D wooden puppet style world. And while the game is great in some aspects, it's also frustrating in others. So, you play as Rai Reysend, and you basically have to figure out why there's all of these like barriers, like these domes of like energy that have been placed over the land during this like mysterious meteor shower, basically to save the world. And along the way, you'll meet up with other people. You'll end up with like a variety of different companions on your travels, very much like other RPGs that you've come to know and love. Now, this game has some unique aspects to it, which I did like. It does have some platforming to it, so while you're in, like, when you're not in battle, you're in the overworlds and in the environments, you can jump, and there are platforming sections to deal with, instead of it just being constantly sort of turn-based combat. You also have a, like, hit meter where you have to push a button when you're doing an attack at the right time to give you a boost, maybe do a double attack, and also press a button at the right time to block, to do a better block, like a perfect block, to take less damage, which was cool. It reminded me of things like Dark Souls and stuff like that, not in terms of like how it plays, but that sort of, you have to get that timing absolutely perfect in order to like parry the attack and then give yourself a better attack and stuff like that. Now, gameplay wise, the combat is decent enough. You get a variety of different weapons for each characters and stuff like that. Each of them have their own attacks, as well as your own sort of button pressing moments as well, so they all vary depending on which weapon and character you're using and stuff like that. And I do like the character designs in this game. Like, there's a good variety of enemies and characters, and they have that sort of like puppety look to them, which I thought was pretty decent. Now, while the characters look great, the landscapes are very mundane, very sort of low poly, squared, kind of lifeless, which is a shame. And although the combat is pretty decent, it does get very repetitive very quickly. So the game itself follows a very sort of mundane story, but it's the sort of difficulty spikes that baffle me. Like, the first area, you can pretty much play from start to finish absolutely fine. You might have to use some potions and stuff like that on the way, and there's like treasure chests and stuff you can find for more potions. However, suddenly the difficulty just ramps up, and while you do level up, you get XP for defeating enemies, which you can then use on like permanent stat buffs, like you do more damage, you do more health, you've got like other better stat increases, stuff like that. The amount you have to do to get to those levels, especially in the early game, is a grind fest. Like, by the time I'd finished like the first area, I'd only leveled up I think twice, and that was including beating the bosses and doing tons of basically fighting every enemy I came to. And you end up having to sort of grind fights over and over and over and over again just to get enough sort of XP to sort of be able to just play decently and be able to beat characters, because at times it can be awkward and just like overly hard. One other thing I didn't like about the game is you have your like A, B, X, Y buttons do different things in combat, but you then don't just press the A button to confirm, you have to press the same button. So if it's like, I want to use X to use a magic spell, you have to press X to like do everything. So it's like X to choose this spell, X to like confirm the enemy, X to sort of do this and that and other. And I ended up kept pressing the wrong button. And if you press like B instead of X or A instead of B, it literally throws you right back to the beginning where you're at. Now you can run from battles. However, I did find it took a few turns at a time to sometimes get away from battles, and you'd end up literally have lost half your health before you were able to run, which wasn't ideal. But when you're not in these awkward settings and these like frustrating sections, the gameplay itself is pretty fun. Now, it is pretty rough around the edges compared to other RPGs. It does sort of take a while to get into it, get used to the challenge and difficulty that they're pushing out here. And overall, like I say, it's not the worst game I've ever played. It's nowhere near the best RPG I've played. But like, if you've ever played games like Paper Mario and stuff like that, it's something you will... Not Paper Mario, like Super Mario RPG. If you've ever played that one, you'll kind of get how the game plays. Just imagine that, but with like Dark Souls sort of... I don't know how to say it. Dark Souls, like, challenge in terms of difficulty. And that spoiled it a little bit for me, because it's got a nice, sweet, like, cartoony, puppety world and characters, but then it hits you with like a massive slap to the face with a giant fish of difficulty. So it may not be for everyone. Now, it's priced at £16.74 on Xbox, playable on Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S consoles, and it supports 4K and HDR10 as well on console. It's also available on PC and other platforms. But like I say, it's definitely a game I would recommend if you're into like old school RPGs, you don't mind a lot of grind, and you don't mind a lot of difficulty. Now, one good thing about this game is if you do die, you don't go right back. Like, you don't lose all of your saves and stuff like that. You tend to sort of go back to like the start of the area you were just in, which does save you a little bit of time. But overall, it's like a game that shows promise, but it's just too frustratingly difficult with a few like UI niggles and rough edges that make it a little hard to sort of say rush out and buy straight away. But that's that for this video, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and we'll see you soon for more gameplay. Bye for now.